Welcome my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated, and what a busy day Flanshina has ahead of him as he seeks to take control of 3 insular holy sites and reform the Celtic Church. At the moment he only controls Iona. He has however formed an alliance with the ruler of Armagh, and of course there is Lindisfarne to deal with as well. And another major problem we're dealing with is Flanshina's piety. The Pope has currently given 2 of his vassals claims on the Kingdom of Ireland. One of them, his uncle, Cruel MacDunlinga, was so sadly killed in battle. So what we're going to have to try and do is organise a pilgrimage to our new holdings in Iona. Flanshina, on ascending to the chiefdom of Mide, visited Armagh. He's now heading for Iona, but first of all he's actually going to visit a distant relative in Scotland and then try and avoid this big red area to get into Iona and hopefully gain some piety. We are short on money, so we might need to do some raiding as well. Now Flanshina is not a popular man at the moment. However, we have just formed an alliance with our nephew, the chieftain of Munster, actually the former ruler of Ossory, or the son of Cruel MacDunlinga. So he's managed to take control of Munster. Now he hates us, but we have an alliance, which means that he is knocked out of forming any factions against us. What I'm going to do, as he is the ruler of Munster, I'm going to grant him Desvuin and Loch Lane. I'm going to hold on to Dalgash, because that controls Ivonia, until the ruler dies. These two split, and I can grant Ivonia to Connacht whenever that gets created. And look at that, he doesn't hate me anymore. Well, he doesn't hate me as much. Travelling through Scotland, we have the opportunity to contemplate the old empires or the ancient faiths, which I'm going to go for to make our pilgrimage more pious. It doesn't look like we're going to succeed, 46% chance. But we could get +1 learning and some extra monthly piety. No. We haven't gained learning, but we have gained monkeypox. Flanshina is ill. We could abandon the pilgrimage. We will push on. Gormla. Gormla, your track record isn't great. Do no more than is necessary. Well, fair play to her. Excellent work, Gormla. And we've lost Saint Bronthon's kneecap. I'm not too sure I knew we had this. Did we pick this up somewhere? They did tell me there was something in the court, and I went to the court, and there was nothing there. And now it's telling me that there is something in the court. Now it's telling me about Saint Bronthon's kneecap again. What would this give us? We either have this or we don't have it. It's one of the two. We're finally here, body and soul. I have walked the holy path. Let's see if we have a kneecap. We do. So we lost the kneecap, by which I mean it has been sent back home to Mide. The reputed remains of a Christian saint acquired by High King Flanshina of Ireland while undertaking his pilgrimage to, and revered as a token of luck and piety. There it is. That's it there. That's the kneecap. And as we begin our prayers and our supplications in Iona, we are told that our daughter Lone, who became ill on the last episode, she has died 0 years of age from being sickly. Critical stress. With the loss of his child, Flanshina is overcome with grief. He does have the opportunity to delve into alcohol instead. He will confide in his wife, gain managed grief for 5 years, -1 to everything, which I don't think we get with the alcohol. No, but the confider will give us +1 to diplomacy and increased stress loss. And finally, after that hectic journey, Flanshina has arrived at the monastery in Iona. He has suffered the death of a child, he has suffered ill health, which he is now cured from, and he has suffered the loss of most of his money. He has the opportunity to pray, lose some stress and gain some piety, to look at the architecture, or to make an offering, which would give him 20 trait experience in the pilgrim trait, and the pilgrimage would become more pious. And I think, considering all that he has suffered, this is exactly what he will do. This item was giving us 0.08 prestige per month, which is a hefty amount, gained on his raids into the south of Scotland. And you know what? He's going to leave it back in Scotland again. Now here's a marriage alliance that I'd kind of forgotten about. I remember saying that this was an alliance that would probably never actually come to pass. The youngest daughter of the ruler of the Dalgash, who we organised a betrothal to form an alliance. This was just after Clan Shinna became the new chief of Mide, just after the war with his uncle. But now that she has come of age, that betrothal is still in place, and you know what? We will accept it to knock down the penalty that we're getting for not having enough wives, if nothing else. We gain a new lifestyle perk, just as we gain the opportunity to make an investment. I created an acclaimed title, and the position that they gave me, or the randomly generated title, was the Sword of God. So I said, yeah, sure, whatever. So that's Cormac, the Sword of God. And we could pay 15 quid and get some exotic wares, which we could sell back home, or we could make the pilgrimage more pious. Do you know what? I don't think we're actually going to be able to push that up from level 2 to level 3. Let's make it more pious anyway. Yeah, we only got about halfways there. And we lost St. Kieran's ankle. Did I have St. Kieran's ankle? Are we going to be able to put together some, like, saintly Mecca from all the stuff that we're finding? Because it's saying that we have it, something in the court. Yeah, there we go. We have a kneecap and we have an ankle. 0.1 piety. There we go. That's another... It's an ankle and a kneecap. That's what they look like. They look very similar. Ignore that. And as well as making our pilgrimage more pious, we also have the ability to unlock divine retribution. We will no longer lose piety or clergy opinion for torturing or executing others. We pay a visit to our dungeon. There's our former archbishop, who we imprisoned after the death of Donal, or Taoiseach. You know what, Mordecai, you've been here a while. We'll let you go. We'll gain a wee cook. Go off. Well, Dorad could be a potential physician, so do you know what, Mastermind Philosopher, I'm probably actually going to recruit and get a weak hook. And as for Moyle Owen, unfortunately, he's not great, but he can be of some use. So we have a nice sharp knife for separating flesh from bones. Ah, I could listen to his screams for hours. And as we wander through Arguilla, we're told that one of our champions has fallen in love with Asta. Now, we could say that there's enough room for both of them in our court. However, Gida, the ruler of Arguilla, who we're trying to vassalize at some stage, will be unhappy with us. Oh no. So the first thing we'll do is make the two of them get married. This is a holy, God-fearing court. We will not have any shenanigans until you get married. And we return home, which has given us, as we visit the capital of the Kingdom of Ireland, we gain 200 martial lifestyle experience, which actually gives us a martial perk. And we're going to go for Serve the Crown to increase that control growth and natural dread. Now, thankfully, we are being endorsed by our Archbishop Carlos, who didn't like us for a while. The only problem is, what we could now start doing is trying to sway Gida. The only problem is, she has just declared war on our cousin in Alba. So we'll start trying to sway her, because we were swaying Carlos up until now. And as for Scotland, if we take a quick look at the election, so here is our candidate for the Kingdom of Ireland. However, Ulgarg is winning that at the moment, which is fine. But if we now take a look at the, what is it? The High Chiefdom, here's our candidate for that. So that's going to create some problems if something was to happen to Flanchina. So what we're going to have to do for the Kingdom of Mide for now is change our vote, if we can find him, to Ulgarg. Oh my god, there's monkeypox, there's goatpox, which has... What are they doing up around Clare and Galway with goats? Do I want to know? Do I want to know how they got goatpox? It broke out in Valley. There's been 0 fatalities and it's minor. Do you know what? We'll just keep an eye on things for now. What we're actually going to do is we're going to break up poor Eriker's honeymoon. We're going to send him off with the raiding army into Scotland, into the corner of Scotland, and probably across even into the Isle of Man. I don't know if we could send them down into Jorvik territory. I think Jorvik's actually, it's got a good solid army at the moment. There isn't much money to be made, but there's a small bit. And there we go, a shadow has fallen over Valley. Summon the physician. I think for now, a soft approach is best. Oh no, Moyloan died from the pox, yeah? Yeah, from the pox. But other than that, one unfortunate death from the pox. Early prevention has been successful. So here's our bit of an issue. Our neighbour in Oriel is calling us into a war against Scotland. I don't know if we have an alliance with Scotland. Do we? Did I form an alliance with Scotland? I didn't. And they're trying to take Inverness. Why? It will hit us a bit in terms of fame, I believe, but you know what? We're going to decline. Because if nothing else, it'll make her army stronger and make it more difficult for us to vassalize her. I think she's probably going to win this war anyway. Scotland's, as always... Look at this, they have an alcoholic on the throne. Scotland's in a rather bad position. We've just sieged down Kirkcudbright and taken a prisoner. Oh no. Yeah, we're not going to get money for him. So the plague is spreading. We've gained some prowess from torturing this poor old man. I could listen to the screams for hours. Now, as the greatest pox of all time continues to spread, we do have the opportunity to make ourselves safe and sound. We would lose some legitimacy, lose some stress, lose monthly prestige. But you know what? We're paranoid, so we'd be quite happy in there. Go on. Nobody is allowed to see me without my permission. I am very busy. I cannot answer any calls. Oh my god, the pox has taken another one of our prisoners! We haven't had a lot of raid targets, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back the army because Jorvik has a couple of forces that are losing men to attrition, if nothing else. So what I'm going to do is I'm kind of watching out for that at the moment to see how badly hit their army gets, and we might be able to send in our army and do a bit of raiding. I don't think there's anywhere else we can really plant these guys. At the moment, pretty much everywhere has been raided down, unless we want to start wandering way up in this direction or trying to push down this way. I think we might start marching towards the border and be prepped to cross. Actually, there's a target that we missed. This truly is the greatest plague of all time, the goatpox, because it's killed Ronwyn, our rival. I think we separated her from fighting with a bishop at one stage during a feast, and she got angry at us, and then we tried to poison her by giving her some food that didn't agree with her. Well, she has been taken by the goatpox. I think we might very well cross across into Jorvik. They still have a solid force. But you know what? We might be able to get some places and run away screaming. Or else they're just going to cross across and cause trouble for us. I don't know what devilment is going on here, but our wife is planning to kill one of our champions. I'd rather you didn't. I need them. So it does look like their main army might be heading in our direction, but I wouldn't think that's a great idea because they're not in great shape. Especially if they have that disembarkation penalty, but then again I'm heading over here, which is maybe not a great idea. And they're also suffering a siege. Or a bit of a rebellion. They can easily deal with that. But we're going to try and create as much trouble as possible. Well, this is interesting. Our attempts to form closer relations with Arguilla seem to be coming to nothing. She has abandoned our attempts to sway her. She's suspicious, just like us. If we were to try and kill her, here's her primary heir. Not too sure who these people are. I was just trying to make a good impression. She is ever so slightly winning in her war against Scotland, so I'm not too sure if I maybe want to interfere in that and try and help Scotland. And so the goat pox fades away. And very kindly, Jorvik has signed up to give aid to Tuvaluan, I believe. Or every county which has been affected in the last 10 years. So people have begun moving to the earldom of Tuvaluan. And Jorvik, thank you very much for the aid which you are giving to help the kingdom recover from this very difficult time. Not Goitne, he was of some use to us. Oh, look at all these people who hate me. Here's the fool that we installed in Iona, and who currently has a claim from the Pope on the kingdom. He'd be the best to put in there. Diplomacy of 14, however, he is not a strong vassal. Nobody's a strong vassal, really. 720. He's 12. Go on. Go on. And you can go on domestic affairs and convince yourself that you like me. Jorvik has just sent down a pretty hefty army. I don't know if that's Jorvik's entire force. It is indeed. I'm wondering, would we be in a position to sneak our way out? We're actually going to hit a retreating army, or I thought we were. They're possibly coming for us. They actually turned around at the last moment, and we might be able to leg it out of there. I was planning on going down the coast. We're going to head down the coast and continue raiding, because of course we don't have an alliance with Scotland. And I won't say that they're winning, but oh, they're definitely not winning now. This was at 6%, then it was down to 2, now it's up to 11. Yeah, we might actually have to try and intervene on Scotland's side somehow. I forgot, we control Iona, so we're back with 125 quid. Let's stand down the army and get them recovered, just in case Jorvik does come for us. And it looks like poor old Scotland is stuck on its own. He's not our ally, and we've been called to this war already, but of course we were called by Oriel, so Scotland, good luck. I think what we will do is take this opportunity to form the Duchy of Connaught. So now that we got some money together, we will form the Duchy. And we have the ruler in this region who we've just appointed as a Chancellor. I think that's probably who the title will be given to. There's Clairkin, whose father, if I am correct, did fantastic service for us. So do you know what? I think that is our new ruler of Connaught. He's actually the only person who likes us as well. Or we could actually make one of our... No, he doesn't like me, so you can go to hell. And we're waiting for Dalgash and Ivonia to split apart, so... Clairkin, we will elevate you to the High Chiefdom of Connaught. Now, as a result of that elevation, we've actually lost our Spymaster as well as our Chancellor. The Chancellor wasn't a big loss to us. Spymaster, maybe a bit more. I think they were at 12 or something along those lines. We could put our half-brother as Spy Master. Why else does he hate me? Oh, because I'm vengeful and sadistic. And he wants a seat in the council. That's a -40. Go on. Do you know what? Yeah, sure. And we might be able to sway him if needed. And as for the Chancellor, we don't have any strong vassals that hate us and are of any actual use for the position. Ulgarg, in you go. Convince them all that they like me. Kildare, fair play to them, have just gone and declared a holy war for Mide, which means that they'll take Dublin and drag that. That should be our possession. We'll have to do something about that. But you know what? Yeah, good job, Kildare. You take Dublin and hold it for now. And look at this. One of the people that we passed over for elevation to the petty king of Connacht, Dovdhaw Mac Convach, has decided to hold a grand tournament, the first in the Kingdom of Ireland. Maybe is a bit of a slight to us that he'd get in there and hold it ahead of us. We will join the grand tournament. And what a long and arduous journey we have. Do we need mountaineers? No, not unless we're going to Wicklow. And we've arrived. We've been told that we're on course to win the duel. Now, we did gain some prowess, and we are a fairly strong, a moderately strong martial figure. I think we leave it at the triumph intent. There is no time to lose. I must begin preparing. We do have a couple of options. We could go to the tent and meet some contestants, but you know what? We will go to the temple and pray for victory. Yeah, that's it exactly. 100 piety, or 50% chance that our score increases moderately. Do you know what? We'll take that piety. Find some inner peace, and it knocks us down to the lowest tier of stress for the first time in a very long time. So we've managed to qualify for the tournament. Eriker, back from a successful recent raid just after his honeymoon, has also qualified. Let's place a bet. So somebody called Arthgoyle of Dunpodrig has entered the tournament. Who is this man? He's a genius, whoever he is. He's an aggressive attacker, 17 prowess. Do you know what? Go on. We'll put our money on him. And we also have the ability to try to sabotage somebody. Now, I wouldn't mind too much if Eriker wins, but this Welsh lord, 23 prowess. I don't know, is this... I think this is actually who I might be fighting against. 49% chance that we're successful. Fiddlesticks. And so we begin our first fight, hacking and slashing away. There's blows landing near me. We have a combined prowess and intrigue challenge. 64% chance of success or of getting injured. We progress greatly towards victory. If we are to overcome this opponent, it will be predominantly through intrigue because they have much stronger prowess than us. 55% chance of increasing our score moderately. This is our best chance. And I don't think it's worked. Damn and blast you all to hell. Oh, well, this is an absolute disaster. The guy who knocked us out and his physician have made it through to the final. Well, that's great. And look at this, the physician, giving no quarter, has defeated his lord. I thought this guy would get his physician to withdraw, but there you go. So he can tend to the wounds of all the people that he has defeated on the way. A fine contest. I want to go home. I'm sick of this. So our wife has just given birth to a daughter as we make our way back home, and our physician's knowledge grows because there is another plague upon us. May God grant you long life, my daughter. We could have named her Lone too, maybe, after our... There's more court experience. Look at this. Thank God we can go back inside again, and we'll stay inside. And Erikr has left our court. Erikr! Don't be that upset over losing. Erikr, no, I need you. I need you for military things. So this poor man is in a bad state at the moment. Here is Mercarthuk of Scotland. He's not doing great in his war against Arguilla. We could become friends, or say we never want to see him again. Let's become friends. We've just lost our court chronicler, but instead of actually replacing them, what I'm instead going to do is appoint a high alamoner, which will give us some increased piety. We could put in the archbishop. Do you know what? We'll stick this poor old lad in there. He's got the bloody flux. Well, Dorrit, who we rescued from a prison, we'll give him the position. And the High Queen has actually lost the bloody flux trait, but we're seeing that this lad has become the Crimson Fountain. Ugh. Ugh. So let's see what we have. We have a couple of things in and around the area. I presume this flux is the bloody flux. Again, it's minor. There have been 39 fatalities in the last year, though. And we have gained bloody flux. Do no more than is necessary. Gormla, we should never have doubted you. You've done great work over the last while. Well, here's an interesting offer. The King of Pamplona has offered to form an alliance between his brother and our daughter. So we would have an alliance. 800 troops. It's nothing great. Go on. And the other thing that is of interest is that Arguilla is being roundly hammered, and they're actually sending some forces across. There is our half-brother. Got a helmet on him, and he's fighting against a distant member of the family. They've had a daughter, but she's not actually eligible for succession to Oriel at the moment. The succession is male preference confederate partition. So it's just going to some random irrational adventurer at the moment. Now, Gormla has done fantastic work for us. However, our wife has become ill. We could say that it is time for drastic measures. Again, I don't think this flux, it's not the greatest pox of all time. I don't think this flux is the worst. Do no more than is necessary. And you know what? It looks like we're all doing fine. We lose bloody flux. Ooh, critical penalty. And I was just about to say we might be seeing the beginnings of the last great battle on the island. Why do you keep doing this? This is the third... Are you the same guy who gave out all the previous ones? Or are you a new guy? This is the third time that somebody in our kingdom has been granted a claim on the Kingdom of Ireland. Diarmid of Munster. I made Diarmid of Munster. Nice. I made Diarmid of Munster what he is. Diarmid, your father had an accident once upon a time, leading the army. Diarmid, don't make me make you lead the army. Don't make me make you lead the army. Now here's an interesting one. Here's a worrying one. Our sister-in-law has just been taken prisoner. So she's been defeated in that war. Hopefully that'll bring that to an end. And with her army utterly depleted, it may force her to accept vassalization. Our wife, Jesus be praised, is cured of bloody flux. And that war has been resolved. And unfortunately, no, we are not in a position to organise vassalization. It's down to -38, which is the best that we've done so far. She is irritated with us, so we can't go back to swaying her. We could try to learn Norse, so that it might try and get her on side. It's 40% chance of success. We'll start that scheme, but I'm not going to be too pushed if we fail at it. And our other major problem is this little weirdo. Doesn't have much of an army, and he also is actually incapable, so it's the worst man to give a claim to, unless he's planning for the long term. So initially I thought Arguilla would be the easiest place to gain access to. We'd start there, then go for Iona, and then we would have the toughest job getting to Lindisfarne. Manage to take Iona first, so then let's focus on Argyll. That's proving to be a problem. Mostly for reasons that I created. And Jorvik has kind of become weakened. We've seen a division between Jorvik and Northumbria, so the previous ruler, Halfdan Whiteshirt, has died. And we've had a succession to the two regions. Most of Jorvik has remained together. This place is in tatters. There is an alliance between the two of them. It's the only alliance that exists. And so I think what we will do, as we are in a position to do so, is we will declare war to conquer the Jarldom of Northumbria. That will give us this tiny little region here, which will give us access to Lindisfarne. We will declare war. We have a plethora of allies that we can call in. The first thing we will do is see if we can bring in our family member who has just successfully defeated Argyll. Speaking of, we will also summon Argyll. We refused to join her war, and that's pretty much the reason that she lost in Alba, so I wouldn't be surprised if she also refuses to join this one. But you know what? We'll see if we can mend some bridges and get everyone, the two warring sides in the last war, fighting on the same side. So Mercarthuk, of course, offers to join. Argyll's army actually hasn't even gotten home yet. They're actually recovering, but she has accepted. And Flanchin is in a position to get another lifestyle perk. Do you know what? I think we'll continue down the torture tree and we will get Dreadgain. So Scotland has risen its army. Argyll is still retreating. We have our two forces, commanded by Lorcan of the Dalgosh and Alil of Leinster. I could join them together, but you know what? We'll bring them across into the south of Scotland to begin with. And isn't this terrible? Just as we're proceeding across, we're told that Diarmid Mac Corúil has died of stress. Oh no, who are you going to give the next claim to Ireland to, Pope? Who are you going to give the next one to? It doesn't end out good for any of them. What's actually happened to the guy with his claim up here? He's dead as well. They're all dead. I dare you. Give another claim to the Kingdom of Ireland to somebody. I dare you. Now, the bit of the issue is that Jorvik has actually planted its army in Northumberland. And are they actually going to do something rather unwise? Where has Scotland gone to? Scotland, where have you gone to? Yeah, well, there's Argyll gone. And Mercarthuk has now been nominated as our new heir. Our alliance with Gyda has ended, because she's after getting our half-brother killed. Well, there we go. And we've had several changes to the succession within a few moments. Well, that was a bit of a disaster. We've managed to take somebody prisoner. Not the greatest of knights. Could make a physician out of them. Could make a counsellor out of them. Could torture them. So we were suffering from a severe amount of stress as a result of our half-brother's death. Is that the second half-brother we've lost? Poor Flanchina. And I think what we will do is we had Lorcan in command. We will put the man, the myth, the legend himself in charge. Scotland is a bit far back. They will start coming in, but they're going to be in a bit late. It's a sizable Norse army that we're in against, but thankfully Scotland's forces have managed to switch everything. Well, Dora, the poor man. We rescued him from prison, made him our Alamoner, threw him into battle, and he's after getting his head ripped off. All they had was 4 knights, that's it. Here's the guy that killed our half-brother. We send in a huge alliance of knights. We've had a couple of injuries. There's Cormac, the Sword of God, if I'm correct. I don't think we have a successor to him. There's Carlos, our Archbishop. Fair play to him. There's Ulgarg. He's wounded, was a potential successor for a while. Lorcan's gotten himself injured, and Mueldor, the poor man, is dead. Considering he's doing such a good job at the moment, fighting in this war for us, do you know what? We will reward Carlos, our Archbishop, by also making him our High Alamoner. I'm not panicking, you're panicking. Here's our brother-in-law, the ruler, effectively, of Katniss to the north of Scotland. We should be a-okay here. Kind of. We're actually losing because we're defending in a forest. So we have a large Jorvik army coming in against us. Hopefully, Scotland is going to come in and defend us. But you know what? We will call in our family member in case things go bad. Scotland was wandering in a rather strange direction there for a moment. Things are tight, Ulgarg has been maimed again, the poor man. And some absolute divil is trying to get us to convert to, Catholicism, how foreign. It's not our place to debate the divine. We'd lose 5 with Carlos, but gain some piety. Do you know what? We'll just tell him, Reinhardt, you damn Catholic, go away. We'll have none of that kind of carry on. Our slightly different to Catholic God has given us victory in this battle. He's also given us more prisoners. The Earl of Dorset, you say? Let's see how much money we'd get for ransoming him. Wait, that wasn't ransom. Look at this, the divil, the amount of heads he ripped off. Ripped off a head, scared somebody to death, the poor man. Ripped somebody apart limb by limb. And somebody else was slain in battle. He hasn't had any kills in this battle so far, but he's going to be sleeping on his stomach for a while, the poor man. And to make things even worse for Jorvik, their ruler has died from a minor illness when on the march away from this battle. And so I think this should pretty much clear things up just after we spent some prestige to call somebody into the war. They're coming back again though. They do have a hefty army. And we've seen that they can cause problems, but I would expect that that would be the end of it. We will enforce our demands. We could take some prisoners, ask for some hostages, torture them. It's grand. So be it. And now, even though that war has just ended, we are in a position to offer the one-eyed, scarred, one-legged, poxed, widowed ruler of Argilla. We're in a position to offer her vassalage. She will not accept. And we also no longer have an alliance with her. We will simply conquer the county. We could push somebody's claims. A random courtier. Do you know what? Go on, because I actually can't control the county. We gave the poor woman so many opportunities to accept vassalization, and now she is at her weakest. Now is when she should have been accepting it, and we will simply march in. Do you know what? We'll even put the man himself in charge. She has an utterly depleted army. It's a pity, after all that she managed to achieve. She's actually pulling her army back. I suppose they were actually fighting in that last war, so she hasn't had her forces come home yet. I think that's the... Is that the ruler of Dorset? No, it's somebody else. And there you go. We've managed to take her prisoner again. What a terrible end for this woman. We could torture her, but you know what? That's a bit That's a bit cruel. She went, she took part in this war, and immediately we declared war on her as she was still bringing her forces back. I managed to teleport all of mine back in this direction. We will enforce our demands. And she is deposed, and Corsina becomes the new ruler, and off she goes. What an adventure she has had. She's 34. She has a child who I believe is a member of House Enail. She lost her husband in that battle for Irish control of Lindisfarne, but she stood in the way of the reform of the Celtic Church. She would not accept vassalization. So be it. But even though we have defeated Gida and taken the 3 regions that are needed to reform the Celtic Church, we are still bereft of our position as a devoted servant. And so Flanchina, having become a bit of a torturer, has wandered down in this route, is going to change now that he has achieved his goal of uniting the 3 holy sites of insular Christianity. And I think he's going to focus on theology. And Flanchina will undertake the 3rd pilgrimage of his life to Lindisfarne. We'll also stop in a few regions to gain some martial lifestyle. Regions which we've just actually conquered and which I imagine mightn't be the happiest to see us. I'm going to stick with reflection. And we will start that pilgrimage. Just like the last time we have the opportunity to reflect on the empires of yesteryear, we will contemplate ancient fates. It's a 50-50 chance, and we fail again. Oh, Carlos, you devil, our high Alamoner. If we try to defend him or stay silent, we're going to lose, or we're going to gain stress. We will have to condemn him for his transgressions. We'll lose 30 opinion. But we will also gain 100 piety. And you know what? Isn't that more important? Body and soul, we arrive at Lindisfarne, our newest, well, second newest possession. We've walked a holy path, covered in the blood of all the people that we've tortured. Carlos, the absolute devil, is causing us a lot of problems. We're still trying to learn Norse, so what we will do is start a scheme to sway him. And then we have to deal with his blasphemous nonsense, which will cause him to lose 50 opinion, stop endorsing us, but we will gain a more pious pilgrimage and 100 piety. So Carlos has been having a great old time in Lindisfarne, debating with us. We've been giving out to him, but he's also blessing things that people bring to him. Somebody brought him a votive doll. He blessed it and asked if we have anything that we want blessed. And we just so happen to have a set of antlers from the first hunt that we carried out. We were going to gift these to Cruel Mac Dunlinga, but instead we put them up on the wall. And he can make them more pious. Our pilgrimage becomes more pious. He gets 15 quid. And the roe antlers get 2% monthly piety. The holy roe antlers. So we were just ever so short of making it to tier 2. Northumberland, it's been an honour. We'll finish the pilgrimage, and I wouldn't be surprised. There we go. We are a prolific pilgrim. And we're doing a bit of a tour now of Northumberland, gaining some martial lifestyle. We are a prolific pilgrim. Learning +3, monthly piety +25%. For a man with 2 sins to his name, that's not too shabby. Learning's up to 14, that's quite good. And we're not too far away from becoming a devoted servant. It's entirely possible he will reach devoted servant before he actually returns to the Kingdom of Ireland. So Carlos is our High Alamoner. He is our Archbishop. He is a poet. He has travelled with us on a number of different journeys. He is now, I think, saying that he'd make a better High King than Flanchina. Carlos, I'll show you. It's a 75% chance that he ends up wounded and kicked out of the court. Well, off you go, you devil. That's the 2nd Archbishop that Flanchina has either ejected from his position or imprisoned. It's the second Archbishop that he's baiting the living daylights out of anyway. And Bron Burke is our new Archbishop and champion. He's shrewd, he's got solid learning, and he hates me. Now Carlos, our previous Archbishop, was, I think he was just good or maybe average as High Alamoner, but Bron actually is excellent, so we will appoint him to that position. I'm well over my domain limit at the moment, and that's partially because I have 5 temples to my name. Those should go to Bron, but I'm not too sure. I can't do anything about it at the moment. So here is Knuch Ushnuch. And yeah, I don't actually know how to... I can't grant it. It's saying you can't grant the title. It should be leased out to one of your... to your court chaplain. Seek one on your council if you do not have one. I do have one. We just appointed him. But I'm not too sure how to actually give him the... Can't grant it to him. Bron, please, take my temples. Here we have a fortune teller. We could seal the tent and have him burned. We would gain some piety. Would that piety be enough to bring me up to... It would. We are going to become a devoted servant by sealing Whale Podrig, Ulain, in his tent and burning him alive. We are now known for our devotion to our faith. Thanks, Whale Podrig. I was having a bit of an issue there a few moments ago where I had 5 temple holdings, which became mine as a result of ejecting Carlos, the prior Archbishop. Well, they have now all been handed over to Bron. So I think it's maybe if you eject your Archbishop, you gain possession of them, but then they'll go to your next court chaplain at the end of the month. We should now be in a position to take the decision to reform the Celtic Church. We could go for separation, pluralist but separate from Rome, becoming a heresy with greater pagan attributes, defiance, more fundamentalist and warlike, legal independence, more righteous and controlling, or convergence. It will remain pluralist and focus on helping the poor. I do like the sound of legal independence. So, lose polygamous and gain monogamous. Must be approved divorce, legitimization. I think most of the changes are kind of towards the bottom. So, much the same at the top. Pluralist and fundamentalist. So here's ecumenism, and we will lose the head of faith and gain no head of faith, and we'll gain megalithic constructions, monasticism. We will lose monasticism, and defiance, I imagine, is going to change. Who can serve in the army? I was thinking maybe we will gain unrelenting faith, legal independence. We will gain legalism. So it will make just a virtue. I like the sound of that. We are not imprisoned. We are independent. We are a devoted servant. We are greater than a duchy, and we control 3 of the insular holy sites. Let us begin the reformation of the Celtic Church under Flann Sinna. Do you know what? I could have probably left him as a torturer. We could have left him as a torturer. A man who has become devoted to God by burning somebody alive in a tent, and now has the ability to reform the Celtic Church. And look who it is. Look at that divil handing out claims to the Kingdom of Ireland. For generations, the people of the Kingdom of Ireland have professed devotion to God and the Scriptures, but through a great healer, but though a great healer, time is also a barrier, and we insularists have continued to drift further from Rome's theological orthodoxy, as Irish society has further diverged from continental practices Ireland has become harder to rule effectively, and the priors relying more and more on local Goidelic tradition rather than canon law or the scriptures. In an effort to heal the perceived rift between the Irish and Roman churches, a group of senior abbots have opened a conclave with Pope Anacletus II in order to see who he is going to give another claim to the Kingdom of Ireland to. However, as High King, I ultimately wield the influence to decide on the nature of the reformation of the Celtic Church. And as such, I've chose wisely, or I must choose wisely. So we have a bit here. Women are no longer permitted to enter the clergy. And certain aspects of traditional Brehon law are to be eschewed in favour of formal canon law. The priors and abbots may no longer take up arms for the faith, and they will be tasked with exerting greater temporal control over the lives of their flock. And also the traditional leniency granted towards Goidelic and Norse pagans is to be outlawed. Oh no! And so will the ancient customs of polygamy and negotiated divorce. So this is one of the things that Mide, the developer of this mod, was kind of thinking about, was some of the discussions that about the reformation of insular Christianity. This has been a big issue with a while, how insular Christianity is treated in the game since the culture came in, and a lot of the aspects of insular Christianity could be represented as part of the culture. I've kind of argued that it should be removed from the game, and it's going to be very interesting when we see the Landless update coming out shortly. This was something I was just thinking about, because you'll actually be able to play as a monastic figure, from what I understand, going around and maybe converting or at least spreading your religion. Now, what this will mean is that in the game, you'll be able to start in Ireland as a monastic Irish figure and go to Europe spreading insular Christianity, which is not what would have happened historically. So the great Irish monastic figures that would have travelled establishing churches in what is today Germany and parts of northern Italy, they would have been spreading the same religion that this guy was a part of, or the same faith. So I might return to that topic when the Landless update and the Landless gameplay is released. The idea that maybe insular Christianity could or should be removed. But for now, it has been reformed. God's law is the only law, and we must all obey it, and him. And every insularist gains 10 opinion of me. Nice. And we have now ended up with a couple of updates. Our alliance with the Dalgash has ended, because that marriage is no longer recognised, and Gormul, I don't believe we had any children with Gormul, that alliance has ended, because polygamy is no longer allowed. So that's actually the alliance, I think, that was that brought Katniss on side, who helped us with our conquest of Lindisfarne. And what a great and glorious image this is. Insularism spreading throughout all of Ireland, except that part, ignore that part, up into Scotland, and those Catholic divils. That is the just treatment of God being visited upon them. Big ol' heap of plague. That's what they get for... Well, do you know what? We're pretty much the same as them now, so I don't think it makes much of a difference. We've adopted legalism, so reduced law costs by 10% for each virtue that the ruler has, and we get a penalty for all of the sins. Do we still have a ton of sins? We still have a ton of sins. Fantastic. So I don't think we're a virtuous ruler, so I think there's probably an increased chance that that factions are going to be formed against Flanchina. Flanchina, of all the people to bring about a religious refiguration of the kingdom, Flanchina was probably not the person that you would expect. I think Flanchina has most of those. He definitely has sadistic. I think he has vengeful, I'm not too sure. Oh, he does, yeah, he has those two, and he could easily pick up a few more. No virtues from what I know. So Flanchina, there you go. What a man, what a man. So it's changed. I think it's changed the control function clerical gender to men only, so Mandate had that as women could also join, and you'd end up with female archbishops from time to time. A clerical appointment is still temporal for life, so this is reflective of the Irish custom whereby local rulers would appoint members of their own family. So Brian Boru's youngest brother was, I think he was Archbishop of Emly. So I think that was pretty much an appointment, kind of to a degree, created by their father. He was prepped, and indeed Brian was being prepped for a career in the church as well. A divorce now must be approved. The marriage type is monogamous. And I presume, I don't know if there's been any changes to the culture. I don't think. Well, there's Brehon law. I'm not too sure if there was some mention of polygamy in here in the past, but there isn't at the moment. So I think it's mostly dealing with the retire to monastery decision and the ability to blind prisoners and to remove them from the succession. And there's actually increased diplomacy and intrigue per level of devotion. I didn't spot that. That's an interesting addition. But undoubtedly, the best thing about this screen is that devil failed utterly in his attempts to install one of 3 people on the throne of Ireland to replace Flanchina. Actually, it was his predecessor that appointed or gave a claim to 2 of them, and then he gave a claim to the 3rd guy, who died. So he failed utterly. And poor old Flanchina has made it. He has achieved the goal set out by his predecessor on this Donncha Mac Éochain run, in which I got to play as Donncha for about 10 minutes. And he has achieved the goal of conquering 3 of the insular holy sites and reforming the Celtic Church. Thank you for joining me on this series. It's kind of a short one. I might have done another video, but the landless update is coming out shortly, and there's a couple of things going on at the moment, so I don't think I'll be able to make another video before that. But if you haven't done so already, do go and check out the Tip Volume 2 mod. It's going to be interesting to see what changes and additions will be made and will need to be made when the new start date comes out and when the landless gameplay comes out, and what ideas we can slowly drip feed into Mandade's head and get him to add for the new start date and for the new gameplay. But if you haven't done so already, do go and check out the Tip Volume 2 mod. There'll be a link below in the description. Lots and lots of mad crazy things. There's also opportunities to form a Celtic empire and to restore druidry and build big monoliths, megalithic structures. We saw one of the options there as part of reforming the Celtic Church. That was one of the options. So do go and check out the Tip Volume 2 mod. I've had great fun with it. I hope you've had good fun watching this series. Thank you very much for joining me. And yeah, if you send off maybe a couple of postage stamps or whatever, postcard, free entry, just send it off to the Pope. See, will he give you a claim to Ireland? Maybe he will. Who knows? I'm sure he's looking for somebody to replace Flanchina at the moment.